All right, Mr. Keebaugh.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's taken a while to get us here, and then of course we did chit chat a little bit
Mhm.
last week, but I wanted to bring you on. I just kind of want to start off the conversation by allowing you to give your resume on, what all you've done, and I kind of feel weird about like introducing people and talking about
Right,
them, like
right.
because it's like I don't want to get it wrong. But I'll let you go ahead and,
Cool.
and open it up.
Awesome. So grew up in North Georgia. Joined the military at age 19 after attempting to play a year of college basketball. Realized I hadn't put as much mental effort into the game as I should have. So ended up getting distracted with all the things outside of school. So joined the military at 19 and was going to join the Marines initially, but the Marine recruiter wasn't there, so I got sucked into the Air Force guy, and so the next 10 years bouncing around from different bases. I was Air Force TACP, which is an Air Force rep that they put out on the ground with different maneuver units, and you're the guy that's directing airstrikes, right? So you're marking targets and clearing aircraft to drop bombs on the bad guys and make sure they don't drop bombs on the good guys. So I did that for 10 years. I was actually with 2nd Ranger Battalion during 9/11. We were actually on RF-1 during 9/11. So all of our guys, we all had pagers on back then and everything. And 9/11 happened, and they ended up sending 375, which is the guys at Fort Benning that are stationed with the headquarters in the Ranger Regiment. So they ended up going on the first wave, and then we followed up after 175 went. We ended up going over in April of '02. So did a couple rotations to Afghanistan with the Rangers, 2002, 2003, and then went to be an instructor at our school in Florida for my last 2 years, and that's where I realized that I had busted my body up enough so that I couldn't be effective anymore. So I ended up getting medically separated in 2005 after 10 years. From there, I went into a couple of different contract jobs. I remember the first year out, I had probably 3 W-2s, right? And people were like, "Hey, Charlie can't keep a job." But what was interesting was I found all these positions initially sounded great and sounded like they were contributing, and then you'd get in the job and you look around and everybody's playing solitaire, doing really nothing for the fight. And so when I found that their values didn't align with mine, I just made quick decisions to move on to the next opportunity. So ended up working my way up through a couple of different companies, from project manager up to I've been CEO of 6 different companies, founded a couple myself, and have been working in the defense industry for the last 20 years. Recently made a move over to the commercial side in a nationwide commercial coatings company, and have been the COO there since March of this year.
Wow. That's a heck of a resume. Yeah, one of the things you were just talking about though was
We have over 100 pre-owned vehicles in stock, and 40 of them are under 30,000, and 20 are under 20,000, and many of them certified. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com. 6 decades, 3 generations, 1 tradition.
some of the past initiatives that you've been on has been like natural disasters, like the recovery process of that. That's what got you on Dr. Phil. That's what got you on Shawn Ryan. I know I've heard the stories about you going into North Carolina, saving a baby, and those things are great. But I think really the major thing is kind of how are some ways when you were coming out, if you had to speak to a fresh guy coming out, maybe like an E5, E6, and he's just decided that he doesn't want to be in the military anymore, but he still has this military mindset. And if he came out into the civilian world and he's looking around, what would be the first advice that you would give to him?
Yeah, great question. And I've seen this over my time. I think I've probably hired about 400 veterans into the different companies I've been a part of. And, some of the guys that I knew that were absolute studs in the military didn't make the transition well. Some that were mediocre made the transition very well. And I think it all comes down to how hungry are you? You know, you guys join the military and they take that athletic mindset and competitive mindset and they apply it to everything. They're trying to run the fastest, trying to do the O course the fastest, trying to win the ruck march, trying to make the highest grade on every academic test to promote themselves above all their peers. And they're doing all the research, they're putting in all the work to get those successes. But then when they get out, they just try to rely on what they've already done, right? And they don't do the research of the industry they're in. They don't look at the competition. They don't try to understand the processes for what new industry that they're a part of. So, yeah, the best advice would be to stay hungry and be just as motivated to succeed and have those aspirations that you had when you were an E1 or an O1 trying to make that next rank. Yeah. And just apply that to everything that you do in your life.
And I think you see it a lot. You know, guys come out and, like you said, they focus on their past so much. Recently, a couple months ago, a guy that I was stationed with had came here to visit with his wife and kids, and came over. We hung out in the driveway for a little bit. The only thing he could talk about was like the past,
right.
Deployments that he's done, like trainings, that he's been through, time that we spent together when I was in, and it was just kind of like kind of rounding it back around towards the end of our conversation. I just had said to him, I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, so what's going on now? Like, what are you guys doing? Because he lives in North Carolina, and he's like, oh man, just life sucks, and I'm just kind of like, dude, I mean, you went to Ranger School, Air Assault School, Airborne School, SEER School, Sniper School. Like, he's got all these schools. He was a recon soldier for a while, and it's like, dude, like, and you've got 2 kids and you got a wife, and I'm not knocking the job that he has, but now you're in construction and you're just like, and that brings down veterans, in my opinion, because it's like they lose their purpose of why they're doing something, and they think that they just have to stand in line and go do it, but then talk about their past and their glory days. That really, I hate to say it, but I mean, civilians, in my opinion, they really don't care about what he has done, because they don't have a way of understanding it.
Right.
So you can't. That's why the thank you for your service kind of, it's funny to me, because it's like I did so many things when I was in that I would never be able to do in the civilian world.
Right.
So I mainly look at people and say, thank you for your tax dollars,
right?
Because I was able to do some crazy stuff.
If I would have stayed in college, I'd probably be either dead or in jail.
Really?
Like, oh, we were just going down the complete wrong path.
Yeah, you're talking. How tall are you?
6'6".
I was wondering, because every single time I look at you now, I'm like, because the TV does not give it justice. Whenever I've seen you, you tower over me. But so you went to college to play D1?
No, it was a small school in North Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah. And so did you like go through the first semester or whatever? Like, did you actually play?
Did the whole first year.
Oh, did you?
And was barely showing up for class, taking the easiest classes I could just to have the eligibility to play, and didn't take advantage of a free education.
So you were on scholarship.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. So you were good, and you were really, really good in high school then.
Well,
get a full ride.
Good enough to play, but
not
good enough to.
I see that a lot with special operators. Mm-hmm. My uncle was a SEAL. He was a big time baseball player.
Right.
Throughout his shoulder in high school, and then he ended up going in the teams. But it seems like a lot of athletes, especially going TACP, that's kind of like they take the athletic route, and then if something happens, I mean, they just fall back on the military. Did you feel that way at all?
I think it's athletes in the special operations community excel.
Yeah.
Right. Because they've got that never quit mindset and want to compete and want to be the best. I think every assignment I had or every step in my career, I was always thinking about what was next and what was the next objective, what was the next achievement to chase.
Yeah. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why you're where you're at. One of the other things that kind of hit home with me during our conversation was the substance abuse. It's not talked about enough. In fact, if you look at social media, and that we have a lot of veteran companies that come out and they're promoting their brand or whatever, and they like to poke fun at the substance abuse aspect of veterans and active duty. It's one of those things where, yeah, I'll laugh at it, but it actually is a poison that I think that has taken and has hurt many veterans' lives and active duty's lives. And you are, I would say you're an advocate for staying away from alcohol because you've gone, how long has it been since?
I think today's, 544 days maybe. I know that just because I saw somebody, a buddy of mine made a post on social media. They just hit their 1 year mark. I was like, oh, what day am I on? Commented to encourage him and to also let him know that there's a lot of us in the same boat that started drinking at a young age. I think I started probably at about age 13. Mm-hmm. Every weekend we would get booze from somewhere. We even had our school janitor buy it for us one time.
Yeah.
And then you go in the military and it becomes,
That's the only
it
thing you have
becomes
to
the
do.
thing to do. Yeah. And becomes part of the culture. And then when guys get out, we were talking about this as well about veteran suicide. I know a ton of guys that have killed themselves. I don't know any that did it while they were sober.
Yeah. I'm
sure there have been some, but I think when you take, PTSD, traumatic brain injury, broken bodies, right? I mean, I know several guys that have been on pain pills for years. I spent 6 years on pain pills, and you end up trying to mask your injuries with drugs and then mix in the alcohol culture that comes with it. And then now you're doing drugs and drinking, and your traumas come out, and then people make really bad decisions that are permanent. One of the pieces of best advice I have ever been told was, don't make that the story your family has to tell. Right? Veterans kill themselves, and then their kids, their partners, their spouses. Hey, where's your dad? What's the deal with your dad? Oh, my dad killed himself. Like, don't make your actions the story the rest of your family has to go tell everybody that they meet the rest of their lives.
And I think it could actually go deeper than that for the guys who don't commit suicide, because it's one of those things where, you come out of the military and then everybody's like, oh, go join the Legion, go join the VFW, go join AMVETS, go join all these different things. And then it's like, what are all of these things surrounded by? They all have a fucking bar. Like, they all have, and I'm not saying that it's bad to have alcohol, but what I'm saying is that you're exacerbating the issue if somebody already, because I can tell you right now, when I first got out of the military, I really hit the bottle hard because there was a sense of failure that was there.
Right.
There's also this guilt because it was like, I didn't really do much while I was in. And then there was a lot of guys that, had gone to combat and never came back home. That's the infantryman's dream, right? Is to go and be in this blaze of glory. And then if it doesn't happen, then you're just kind of like, what did I do all of that for? What did I, sit around in garrison, cutting grass with scissors, and having, bad leadership, good leadership. And it's like, you come out and you're like, I didn't do anything. And, my whole thing is when I came out, I wanted to go PMC. And so it was kind of like I had to find this way, but alcohol was always right there. But everything that comes around to veteran events after you get out is surrounded by it.
Right.
And it's almost kind of like it's encouraged.
Right.
And it definitely is when you're in. I mean, all your buddies are drinking and stuff like that, but then they get out and they just make it this whole thing. But getting back on what you were saying, the guy that doesn't commit suicide, right? And then you have kids, and then their friends come over and they're like, dude, what's up with your dad? And it's just like, oh, he's just messed up, man. Like,
Right.
you know, and then, but like when your kids, because I see this a lot too, like when I hang out with some of my buddies, like their kids never see their dad sober. It's like when he's home, he's got a beer in his hand, he's cracking a beer, or he's taking a shot of whiskey,
Yeah.
and he's just like not there, disconnected. And that was one of the things that you had said the other day was like all of the bad decisions that I've made in my life
Oh yeah. Yeah.
has always been surrounded.
And there's been so many. There's been so many bad decisions, but yeah, just about every really bad life decision I've ever made has been had alcohol involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's your chance to change it. And
What
and
do
just-
you think needs to happen though in somebody's mind before they finally decide to like give it up, or is there a specific type of personality? Like, I guess, what was the breaking point for you where you were like, dude, I have got to put this away? Like, there had to have been a moment where you're like, this is not good for me. I'm not going anywhere on this. Like, what was that moment?
I probably had about 1,000 of those moments.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the trouble with addiction, right? Is you have that moment and then you succumb to the addiction the next day, So
You have a lot of first days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of first days, but again, being a competitive person and having that athletic background is just like, I've got an app now that I put the date in. And so every day I can look at it and I want those those numbers to increase. And so that becomes the motivating factor. Or we'll go out to a restaurant and my wife will have a drink, and every time that she orders one and I don't, it's a victory for me. That's how I view it.
Wow.
So,
Good way of looking at it.
yeah, but I think, with pain pills, I went on about a 6-year addiction to opioids. And, we all shared pain pills, on the job as a contractor when I first got out. And because everybody had an ailment, right? Everybody was broken. We were all in our low to mid 30s, and we were all just broken bodies, right? So I got to a point to where I could call the VA on the 800 number, punch in a few codes, and within 3 days, I'd have 90 days worth of narcotics in my mailbox without ever even talking to a human. And so there was 1 year where we were at Disney World and I ran out. We were walking, 10 miles a day at freaking Disney World when the kids were little, and ran out of pain pills. And I called the number to try to get, a refill. And by this time I had the VA sending me pills, and I had a local doctor that I could get pain pills from as well. And so I called the local doctor to try to get a refill, and they were like, well, you've gone through 90 days worth of pills in 30 days, so we need you to come in for an assessment, right? And I had one left, but one does you no good, right? By this point, I'm taking 4 at a time, a couple times a day. And had one pain pill left, and when that person told me that over the phone, the light bulb came on. And so I actually carried that one pill around for about a year in my bag, and just kind of showing myself that I had it. I could take it if I wanted to, but I wasn't going to. So yeah, that was a rough time coming off of that.
And again, you were around your kids and wife,
Right.
and
right.
like that. How did it affect you, like with your family?
Oh, I was completely gone. I was
Absent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dang. So that was a moment.
Yeah. So
that was the moment that kind of broke that to where
Mhm.
you're able to realize. Yeah, I since we talked last, I haven't had another alcoholic beverage.
Good.
Just because
Good.
I do this. So I have this weird thing, right? Like I won't touch alcohol for like 30 days. And then like in my mind, I'm like proving it to myself. Oh, I don't need it, and then I come back. But then when I come back, I know the VA prescribed me Ambien.
Mhm.
About 2.5 years ago. I was having issues sleeping or whatever. And I had taken it with Jack Daniels. And I woke up on my neighbor's lawn.
Yeah.
The sprinklers hit me, and I was in my boxer briefs. My neighbor came out there, and his son is a SEAL or whatever, and he came out there and he helped me out. And he's like, "Yeah, man, like I know, like you're probably dealing with something." And it's like 5 a.m, and I got this guy like walking me over to my. So my wife was up cooking breakfast. She thought I was on my run because normally I at the time I was getting up around 4:30 and going for my run.
Yeah.
And I just had stayed up one night, and I came walking in, and the neighbor's sitting there, and she's just like, "What in the world is going on?" And he was like, "Hey, I brought him home. You guys have a good one." Coolest neighbor in the world. Never said anything to anybody about it, but it was like one of those embarrassing moments to me where it was like, and so I started doing this thing like after that where I cycle like so 3 months I'll drink, and then like I'll take off a month, but I think that's something that alcoholics do to try to prove to themselves that they're not an alcoholic, and then they just go back to it. But you're actually proving that you are.
Yeah, I mean, you can put labels. People like to put labels on things, but the biggest thing I think is just finding a different outlet.
Yeah,
finding a different addiction, right? Like people who excel at things have addictive personalities, right?
yeah,
Just find something else to be addicted to.
yeah. So getting back on that, when we talk about like the guys finding their purpose when they come out, I think you see a lot of veterans that come out that do want to find that purpose again. And they end up going into like civil servants, public servants, so like firefighter, law enforcement. One of the things you did was though going on to do the disaster recovery, and then of course the company that you worked for there does help veterans find purpose again.
Yeah.
Which do you want to?
Sure. Yeah. So
on
a buddy of mine was actually one of the first members on the team at Aerial Recovery, a Nashville-based nonprofit that repurposes veterans for battling human trafficking and responding to disasters. And those two kind of go together because when there's a disaster, human traffickers show up and they take advantage of the chaos and they steal people, right? So, but yeah, they've got a great program called Heal the Heroes that it's about a year-long program that helps veterans get through trauma that they've experienced in the service and sometimes even before. And then gives them that new mission to be a part of disaster response teams or to go actual fight human trafficking. So Tim Ballard from the Sound of Freedom, he was on our team at Aerial Recovery. They've got guys in several countries in South America that live there that manage cases, and then Aerial Recovery sends teams down to participate in the
operations
to take those guys out.
Well, kind of explain that because I know you're a lot on like the management side of that. You run me through as much as you can because I know there's probably a little bit that you can't talk about, but run me through like how you get a case, how you investigate it, reconnaissance on it, and then through a mission to actually bring it. Do you work with Interpol? Do you work with the country that you're going into? Because this other countries.
Everything goes through the country that the missions are happening in, right? So everything has to go through the local police.
Yeah.
So
how hard is it working with other countries though on that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I didn't have to do that. We had people in country that lived there that spoke the language, that had all the networks and stuff. So that was a very difficult job that those guys do.
Yeah. No, I was just curious on that because it seems like that's something that's picking up, which I think is a good thing. There's several companies out there that are doing that now, and all of them utilize veterans that are used to running operations, snatch and grabs, and things like that. And sounds like a really, really good way if a veteran was coming out of the military and they were losing purpose, that this was really something that you.
Yeah, it's a great use of your skills for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the human trafficking industry is second in the world behind the drug trade, right? And both of those kind of go hand in hand. The drug trade and the trafficking folks are typically the same organizations. But the human traffickers, I think they do about $40 billion a year in business. And if you took all the nonprofits and all the organizations in the world that are doing something about it and put them all together, they don't even total $1 billion in revenue to go chase the bad guy, right? So it's a very uneven playing field, and it's work that has to be done.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting seeing like the different countries that like they kind of, the countries that we were, heck, look at Ukraine. Ukraine is huge into human trafficking.
Oh yeah.
But we were giving them, dude, that's the reason why it just baffled me how much money we gave them. So I'm like, that country is known for being part of it's almost kind of like you're supporting a problem. Because that is a huge issue. Which kind of brings me to my next thing, because you spent time in the sandbox. How do you feel about the Iran thing?
Oh, I think it's long overdue, right? Iran has sponsored so many different terrorist organizations and attacks over the years, and we've just, had such weak leadership to do anything about it. So I know a lot of folks were worried about a World War III breakout. I can tell you, you're not going to prevent World War III from your keyboard, right? So all these people thinking that they're now, geopolitical experts and defense experts, like the recruiting station's open.
Yep.
If you want to go make a difference, go make a difference. But sitting around complaining about it and causing further divide in the country doesn't do much for anybody.
No, I think that just goes into everything right now based on our communities and our governments. You have so many people that jump on a keyboard and they want to talk as much shit as they possibly can about the situation. Never talk to an actual reliable source on anything.
Everybody's an expert.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter the topic.
Yeah.
Everybody's an expert.
And it's just like you give so many opinions that are out there, and then you don't back it up with any sources or anything like that. And then you start this narrative and people start believing it.
Right.
And the next thing you know, it's just this spider web that is just blown up.
Well, think about how information works, right? People behind their keyboard, where are they getting their information from? TV. Who owns the TV stations?
Yeah.
Like, it's all a big network of misinformation, all based on generating money for the person that owns the conglomerate, right? It's just a big self-licking ice cream cone.
Oh, even the social media shows and pages that still claim to do their research.
Right.
The only thing they go and do is that they pull data and documentation to be able to prove their narrative, but then they leave out half of the conversation.
Right.
That's another thing that's just like, because everybody, this is the reason why we started the podcast originally, was to have people on locally, because we deal a lot with local government. And a lot of our local politicians get smashed a lot. Some, it's very, very valid, but some of it, it's like, I don't know about that. So I have the person on. I talk to him about it. You're able to make your decision based on who we talk to. Instead of just reading, a Karen's post on Facebook and going, oh, well, this person has to be corrupt because of this. And it's like, well, this is the other half of the story that you're not telling.
That's the general theme, right? Is most people are uninformed. They're not stupid.
Yeah.
They just don't have all the information. And a lot of people like to make judgments and assumptions based on a headline.
Yeah.
They just forget that headline's written by someone who's trying to make money off of the headline.
But I think anybody who's served in the military or even private contracting, you read the you read the headlines for the day, or you see something on CNN or Fox or MSNBC, and you look up at it, you're just like, no,
Yeah.
that's not a thing.
Right, Yeah.
I think anybody can really talk about it. You know, someone that can really talk about that. My brother has a really good story because he was in Syria. He was 19 Delta Cav Scout, and he's got some funny stories where it's like, this is what happened, but then this is what the media was saying, and it was like, what are you even talking about, dude? I'm right here where you're talking about. So that happens a lot. I know we kind of hit on the suicide and substance abuse aspect of veterans, but if you hit on the professionalism and the part where you were talking about earlier, like getting out, trying to stay hungry for. Again, I'm kind of gonna run it back into. What about the guys that are coming out of the military where they don't necessarily have the skills to get a good paying job or something like that? Because this happens a lot. Got a guy that goes in and he's like, hey, I'm just going to have you guys use me, abuse me, do whatever you want with me. And then they come out and they really don't have any skill. Like if you think about even 11 Bravo, a guy that was an M2 gunner, when he comes out of the civilian world, did you ever utilize your GI Bill?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you get your degree?
Yeah, I got an MBA and then did some executive leadership stuff at Harvard.
Really?
Using the GI Bill. Yep.
At Harvard?
Yep.
Use the GI. I didn't know that they accepted the GI Bill.
They sure do. They sure do.
That's awesome. So when you came out, though, you saw the need for college and
yeah. I mean, I ended up getting my degree while I was at 2nd Ranger Battalion. So I actually graduated with my bachelor's degree while I was in Afghanistan. So my career, I was always trying to do something like what was next. And when I got to the Ranger Battalion, I decided I wanted to be a pilot. And so I put in my package to try to go to be at the officer route and become a pilot. And my package was actually in when 9/11 happened. And when you submit for OTS, they put a code on you, so you can't PCS and you can't deploy. And so when 9/11 happened, they said, all right, well, you can keep your package in and maybe get picked up to be a pilot, or you can deploy with the Rangers, but you have to pick. So I chose to pull my package and deploy versus wait to see if I would get selected.
How did you manage your time to be able to get your degree while you were with that? Like
they had a program at McCord where you could go every other weekend for a year and go from an associate's degree to a bachelor's degree. So I signed up for that, and within a year, I think I took a bunch of CLEP tests, like you could test out of credits. So
Really?
I took a bunch of tests to get college credits, and then did that program for every other weekend for a year.
And then you were taking classes while you were in Afghanistan?
No, I was done by then.
You were done by then?
Yeah,
Dude, because I was about to be like, how in the heck?
The ceremony was when I was in Afghanistan.
Oh, okay.
I finished before that.
Well, that still is like huge because a lot of guys go in and they go to college while they're in and they don't really finish up anything until they come out.
Right.
But the fact that you did it all while you were still in, especially being, because that's an elite group.
Yeah, I think in 2000, I got to the Ranger Battalion the beginning of that year. I went to Ranger School en route. So I graduated Ranger School in 2000, did Halo School in 2000, a Navy spotting course in 2000, and started that program all that same year.
That's crazy. Yeah. To do all that at the same time. Well, that just goes to show. That just goes to show, like, the people that are like talking about going to school and how long it takes to get your degree and all that. And it's like you did it while you were going through everything.
Oh yeah, the hardest part is signing up, right? Once you sign up for something, you're in.
Yeah, I'm a 2-time college dropout.
Nice. Nice.
What did you end up getting your degree in again?
Adult education. So workforce education and development. So it's how do people learn when they're adults? How do they learn new skills, and how is the curriculum designed for
So
those
you could
people?
go get a job as like a teacher or a.
Oh yeah, shit. I would hope so.
Yeah, because so my mom's degrees are like in educational leadership
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty interesting that you
Yeah.
did all that. What was your end goal just to get your degree was to go become a pilot,
Right,
Or so
right.
you had no interest in using your degree once you got out?
No,
in
not at all.
That field.
Not at all. Not at all.
Oh,
Not at all.
so is there a reason why you chose that particular one? Was it the
Because
fastest?
it was the fastest. Yeah,
It was the
that's right. That's right.
fastest.
I didn't care what it was in.
You just needed a degree.
How do
to
I
be
get
able
this
to go
thing
to-
done quickly? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, what kind of pilot did you want to be? Did you actually want to?
Oh yeah, fighter pilot for sure. But
Are you? Isn't there like?
yeah, are you too tall?
Yeah,
Probably.
That's what I was going to say.
That would be my luck.
6'6".
I'd probably, had I gotten picked for it, I'd have probably got there and they'd be like, yeah, you're too tall. Go do something else.
I was wondering that about my cousin because I got a cousin that's a Cobra pilot,
Yeah.
but he's tall. I think he's like 6'3" or something like that.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, like, I think, yeah, there's a cap on pilots, or at least I thought that there was. But, so give me some examples over the past how you've utilized military service skills that you've had to be able to overcome obstacles getting out in civilian
Oh,
life.
yeah. I use those skills every day, right? Because in the military, we learn how to get things done, regardless of if you had the right information, equipment, resources. You still got to get the job done, right? And so outside of the military, we get challenges every day. Some people sit back and wait for more information from their boss. Some people go and find the information and get the job done. And I've always prided myself on being in that second group of, you give me the job and I'm going to go find a way to get it done. And if you apply that to everything, right, it's such a rare thing. Like I always thought everybody thought the way that I thought. And then when I got into the civilian world and I saw the sheep kind of standing around looking at each other, it kind of opened my eyes that all you have to do is do the right thing, right? Go get the job done and good things will happen.
Yeah, I think that's one of the major things. Again, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier is like accountability for veterans. Again, a lot of people think that, including veterans, are like, well, I get a free pass because, I'm a veteran. And looking back on your past on things like that, but not being able to move forward. And so when you're saying, like, I still use the skills every single day, if people can apply themselves to just do that, it just makes life, a lot easier instead of working on your old merits.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the veteran community is hammered enough on that. One of the things that I said the other day was I believe that there is a portion of the veteran community that's just lazy.
Right.
It just coming out. The only thing you want to do is just talk about what you used to do, but then don't really take care of the necessary things, be a problem solver in society. And I think that, and again, it's not that the drive isn't there. Maybe the drive isn't there. There's just no way of like seeing. And I guess the reason why I'm harping on this so much is because I have a friend right now that is just, he's got great potential to do great things. He's got a wife and he's got kids, and he's just allowing life to just beat him up.
Right.
And and like he's sitting there trying to go back in the military now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you don't need to be in the military. You need to be spending as much time with your family. You've already done, he did 2 deployments, definitely has seen and he's seen a lot, and it's like, when are you going to start putting your family first? And again, those programs I think are great. But what do you think these guys should really focus on to be more family oriented when they come out?
Yeah. I've seen people go through programs. some are military, some are first responders. I think it applies to everybody. Like, don't rely on what you've already done. Like, your story's not over. You know, what you've done in the past does not define what you're going to do tomorrow. What you do tomorrow defines what you do tomorrow. And every moment you have to make a decision to do something positive or meaningful or for someone, like, you have that freedom to do that right now. Yeah. Doesn't matter what you did yesterday. Doesn't matter what you did 10 years ago. Make the decision every day to be the best person you can, be the hungriest person you can, be a difference maker, you know, a force for good going forward.
And I think we've established the fact that substance abuse plays a major contributor.
It's a huge distractor, right?
On all this, because would you say that you started feeling like you were living life to the fullest once you were able to break away from all the substances that you were involved with? For sure. Because I know you just recently got married.
Yeah.
And so it seems like things kind of turn. And I know, like, heck, man, you're the first guy. I think, were you the first guy in the state of Florida to open up a Black Rifle?
Yeah, we had the first Florida franchise.
Yeah, like these are like, you've been a part of some really big things, but you know, getting away from. I really think you got to get away from those old habits, you know, to be able to start to see, you know, like production.
Yeah. We opened Black Rifle in Niceville, Florida in, I think it was 2022. And then my second marriage ended about 2 months later. Mm-hmm. So the whole first year, and the only year I was involved with the franchise, I was going through a pretty dark time, right? Yeah. And you put on a good face and you smile and battle through it. And, you know, for me, I've been very good about distracting myself, right? If I'm going through something, you know, I find other ways to distract myself, whether it's another relationship or drugs or alcohol or whatever. I always, you know, found some way to cope. Wasn't always the healthiest way to cope, but it got me through. But yes, I ended up having to sell my ownership in the franchise as a part of the divorce, just to get that over with.
So what do you use to cope now? Like, you got a hobby?
I don't really think I have anything to cope from.
Oh,
right. So life is pretty good at the moment. You know, I don't have any major setbacks at the moment, right? So life is good. But I go to the gym every day and try to take care of my health, my mental health, and spend time with family.
Yeah. I know you've dabbled in a lot too, because you even got into politics. Ran for District 1,
right?
And ran. Right. So I mean, you've been pretty active. It's not like, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's admirable in a way, because it's like you look at a lot of veterans and they come out and the only thing they do is talk about their past.
Right.
But then looking at someone like you, it's like, well, that guy kept going. And we do see that a lot. There are several veterans, you know, that have made it big with their companies. Don't know them, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's good to see that people are actually out and using the skills that they have to become successful, rather than using it just to find their way down to the bar and, you know, spend that VA check on, you know, rounds for the bar the rest of the time that they're there. So, because you see that a lot. But last time, when we talked last week, I'm going to kind of switch gears a little bit. We talked a little bit about FEMA, and you think that they could be doing a lot better with. Can you explain some of those?
Yeah, I think
instances?
FEMA is kind of set up to fail, right? Like,
really?
If you think about it, they're a nationally owned organization that is supposed to be able to respond. What, the next day?
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea what they're even designated or desired response time is. I just know that it's never going to happen, right? Think about it. Like, how could you take a force pick them up and move them and drop into a disaster area in any sort of reasonable amount of time. But for some reason, everybody sits in their house thinking that the government's going to come save them. And they're not. Like, nobody's coming. And if they do come, they're going to come with very, very minimal benefit to you in your darkest moment, right? So, we try to preach to people to have your own plan, be ready to save yourself and your neighbors, because nobody's going to be there if the shit hits the fan, right? And we saw that in North Carolina. Everybody thought that the government was going to be there to turn the lights back on the next day, and it just didn't happen. So, FEMA, in my opinion, FEMA should be completely disbanded. Take those, what did we say? It was 33?
What did we say the budget was for FEMA?
33 billion, whatever. However much money they have, right?
Yeah.
Break that money up, allocate it to the different states that are most likely going to face a disaster. And you have a couple hundred years of history to draw from to see where those costs should go. But if you break up FEMA and allocate that money out to the states, again, in some sort of a apportioned manner based on the risk to what they're going to face, that to me would be a better use. And it, like, look outside, right? What are we most likely to get hit by here?
A hurricane.
Yeah. And what do we lose? We lose power. Well, why the hell are all of our power lines above the ground?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
I just drove by the other day and saw a brand new concrete power line being installed. And I'm just thinking of all the logistics. Somebody had to buy that concrete power pole, put it on an 18-wheeler, drive it there, get a forklift, take it off. Like, there's a lot that goes into that just for one. And there was only one on the ground, right? So they're going to go what? Power pole by power pole by power pole with a concrete one, when all they could, a better use of the money would be to put those underground, and then you don't ever have to deal with it again. Yeah. So,
yeah, you do see a lot of that.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, that goes back into like negligent spending.
Right.
Where you're like, it's like one of those things where a cousin of the senator owns the concrete power pole company. Yeah. And now they got this deal, our sweetheart deal of whatever. And so that's kind of like how those things normally play out. But yeah, no, that's interesting. No, you had talked about being in multiple occasions seeing where FEMA had failed. A lot of people saw that here after Hurricane Michael. Hurricane Michael destroyed this area. I've never heard a positive thing about FEMA.
And again, how can they?
Yeah.
Why should they be expected to be the first response anywhere in the country? The first response is going to be your first responders, which are your local, fire and police.
Yeah.
That's going to be your local guys. So take that money, give it to them, give them a plan, give them a requirement to come up with a plan. Like we were in Oklahoma after a tornado last year. And I walk up to the local EMS director and I'm trying to get information out of him as to, what the situation is on the ground. Where do they need help? Where can we go, interject ourselves to provide value? This guy had no plan. He had no tornado response plan in Oklahoma. I'm like, dude, this is your only job.
Hurricane,
like, you should
Tornado Alley.
like this happens, and you should be like jumping out of bed that day with your binder and all your checklists that you've made and all your procedures that you've got. Like, you're waiting for this day. That is your job. He had nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Plan or anything.
He had nothing.
Yeah.
He had nothing.
Yeah.
But that's what you get when you give these government jobs out with government salaries that aren't challenged. There's no competition for the job. There's no competition for the companies to have that job. You just have a government position that's funded, that somebody worked their way up to because they know somebody, probably. So you just don't get great companies when you let the company be the government, right?
Yeah.
So there's got to be a way to privatize that and have some companies come in and compete for it. And if they don't do a good job, then you get somebody else in there.
Yeah. Well, I know you saw that firsthand too in North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Because, hearing some of those stories about people needing oxygen, people needing medication. You guys saved a baby that would have died if it wasn't for. But then that was even one of those things where you had to reach out to civilians' help to even make that happen, because you had a helicopter pilot that was a civilian that was just willing to help.
Right.
Which I will say, I mean, it's a very interesting dynamic, and I think it really does. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but here in the United States, everybody's we're friendly but distant. But then there's like a huge catastrophe, and then we find a way to come together.
Right.
That's something that happened here. I mean, neighbors after Hurricane Michael, it was nothing to see a grill fire up, and everybody would help each other, clear the road and then clear their yards while, linking arms and like feeding each other.
That happens at first.
Yeah.
If it continues on, people will turn on each other.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
You've seen this.
We saw that in North Carolina.
And give me an example.
By about day 4, when we rescued this lady that was running out of oxygen, and we came back to that same part of the mountain 4 days later just to check on them, because her husband stayed with their house, and the tone just completely changed when we came back. Like, they would each come up to us individually and be like, "Hey, that guy over there, he's by your helicopter. I don't, just so you know, we don't trust him. So keep an eye on him." Right? And I'm looking over at the guy, and the guy's like grabbing the blades of the helicopter, and I have to go tell him to stop touching stuff. But you could tell that they're all looking, he's messing with the blades, but meanwhile he's looking in the helicopter to see what he can take.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
But humans are, we turn
By
into
default.
animals. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to, survive, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I know my buddy tells the story about right after Hurricane Michael, he had all like this wood cut up from his yard, and his fence got destroyed. And then it was like there were some houses that were behind his property that were being built. And then like this whole group of guys, like in the middle of the night, just like stole all of the wood that he cut up or whatever. And he's like, "It's wood. It's everywhere." Mm-hmm. And you just came and stole mine. Like, they literally backed the truck up in the middle of the night and just loaded it up in there and took off. And he was just like, "Dude, what the heck?" And then
people are horrible.
Yeah. And then at the time, I mean, people were like, there were gunshots and stuff going on around here. Like, and they just like, some people just did not care. But we had a lot of those looters come up from Miami and all of the bigger cities that were trying to loot. And, I've always wondered, like, how far do you think you're going to get with, stuff that's like high valuable, stuff?
Well, I think it's important to always remember that evil exists.
Yeah.
Right. There are bad people on this planet. Right. People come together during moments like that, like you're talking about, but there are also bad people that come together.
Yeah.
So don't ever forget
that
the wolf exists.
That's one of the things. It's hard. Now that I've been out of the military, I've been to several different countries, and so and I've been to a couple rough places, and so coming back home, like me and my wife will go to Disney. We'll go to different, like, heck, we'll go out to Pier Park, and sometimes I have to like explain to her, because we'll get a little bit loose on like, our kids. I got a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old. And so it's like every single time, like, I start to feel comfortable, I have to bring myself back to, this is a very, very cold and dark world, and you know it because you've been there, and I have to remind myself where it's like, hey, like, quit. We were just talking about this, about like in Israel, Palestine, whatever, like all these different places, like, nobody just goes into a coffee shop and grabs a coffee and doesn't think about what could happen. Mm-hmm. Here in the United States, we live in such a soft bubble wrap where we go into places and we don't even think about, oh, there could be a mortar that comes in and hits, or a rocket that comes in and strikes, and just kills my whole family. That's something that people live on a daily basis in other countries. Right. And thank God we don't think about that here. But that's why it's like social media. You have dudes that get on there and they just run their mouth, and they're like, no consequences for their actions. But like, if you think about what goes on in other countries, like on an everyday basis, like, dude, we live in such a weird society in the United States of just, you know, when you talk about the world being a dark place and people being evil, a lot of people, when things go wrong, like after a hurricane disaster or something like that, they're like, well, how could they just steal all my wood? I spent all day. It's like, dude, this is the reality of like nobody cares about
Right.
you.
Right.
But having those plans, based on some of the things that you've seen, I'm going to make this kind of informational if you don't mind, because you are a disaster recovery expert. Based on this area for hurricanes, if you were going to lay out an entire plan for someone that has a family like me, you know, 2 kids, a wife, what are the first things that I should have set up just in case of a disaster and I decide not to leave because I didn't think it was going to be that bad?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
That's always the first advice is to leave.
Yeah.
Like the hassle, especially with little kids, right?
Mhm.
The hassle of living without power, like not worth it. Just pack your shit up and go inland, right? Go to a hotel somewhere for a couple days and enjoy the time. But if you do get stuck, right, you're going to be without power. You're going to be without fresh water, without food. So, home generators are always on the list of what you should have. Have a way to power your stuff, your essentials. Have a way to get water, whether that's stocking up on water or having water purifying kit. They have these, disaster prep companies out there where you can buy meals. You can buy, you put in how many people you have in your family and how many days you want to have supplies for. And then you can just slowly, maybe throw $30 a month at it. And then over the course of 6 months, you've now purchased enough food to stock up for your family for a month if you had to, right? Yeah. So there's things like that people should do. So power, water, food, security, be able to protect your shit. Because if you've got when others don't, they will come and look for it.
Yeah. How much looting have you seen when you've gone into these places after?
We had one of our people in the parking lot. And this, is a female, unarmed female on our team, was in the parking lot of a store, and a guy came in. She watched him get out of his car, walk in with a gun, and take whatever he wanted and leave.
Some of the things that we were talking about the other day was the injuries you sustained, and you talked a little bit about that earlier. You sustained a lot of injuries while you were in.
So I broke my foot in Ranger School and didn't know it. Like I knew it, right? I remember when it happened. But I didn't know it broke, but I knew I definitely did something weird, right? And so, I'd go to the doctor over the next several years and, hey, here's some Motrin, but you would never get it fully looked at. They don't do an MRI unless they have to, right? And so I broke that in 99, and then I think my MRI was in about 2005, and within 30 seconds, the doctor was like, see this bone? It's broken. The blood has gone around it. The bone has died. We have to put a cadaver bone in and infuse your ankle. Your athletic career is over, basically, is what they told me. And so, you have all these injuries, knees, ankles, back, shoulders, all these things that most guys like us damage over the course of our time. Turns into drug addiction, turns into alcohol addiction to mask the pain, and the rest is history, right? But what has to be addressed is those injuries. And so somebody actually heard our Shawn Ryan episode and sponsored John and I to go to CPI, which is in Tijuana. So Cellular Performance Institute is they're a partner with the UFC. So a lot of the UFC fighters go there, but they're in Tijuana. And so we went through the Miracle Hope Foundation. And what they do is they cover about 50% of the cost for a veteran to go to Tijuana to get stem cells. So I don't remember what all the numbers are, but I know in the US there's a limit, right? Maybe the limit's, 500,000 stem cells. I don't know what the actual number is, right? But there's a limit on how many you can get, and it's regulated by the FDA. And so they go into Tijuana. It's all American owned, but it's in Tijuana. And I got 150 million stem cells the first trip, and
Is
then
that
I
a
go
lot?
back. Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's case-
So I got both shoulders done, my knees done, and my lower back done. And then I go back in August and get another round, and then I go back next February and get a third round.
What's the progress been so far?
It's kind of early. I'm about 4 or 5 months in right now.
Yeah.
It takes about a year for the stem cells to actually grow and turn into cartilage. So, but I'm hopeful that it's going to make a difference.
Yeah. Might need to look into some of that for
Yeah,
my knees.
yeah, but for any of the listeners that are interested, shoot me a message or go to Miracle Hope Foundation and connect with them. But 50% off for veterans. And what they do with the other 50% is they help you set up your own fundraiser to raise the money to cover the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I dabbled a little bit with ultras, ultra marathons. I lost close to 125 pounds in the Army, and I did it all by running. And then I found out I was actually pretty good at running long distances, which is kind of funny because I'm kind of short and stocky. So normally guys like me don't, but I think it was just how much weight I lost.
Yeah.
I was just got used to running. So I've done a couple of ultras, but I know this last ultra that I did, I had my meniscus. I had a meniscus tear, and it's been pretty bad. But I had a motorcycle wreck a couple of years ago, and they had looked at my knee, and then the doctor had said, like, there's like no cartilage left in my right knee at all. Yeah. And so, but somebody had said that to me. They're like, oh yeah, stem cells, that's the way to go, man. Like and I'm like, okay, I'll eventually do it someday, but I didn't know that there was actually, I thought it was just going to be one of those things that was just going to be astronomical. Insurance wouldn't cover it or anything like that. But you're saying that there is actually a way for veterans.
There's a way. There's a way. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And I'll probably run the website and across the screen for that.
For sure.
Yeah.
And on that same note, like, don't stop doing hard things.
Yeah.
Right? The things you learned in the military and the things that you did in the military challenged your body, and it challenges your mind, right? So when you get out, it's important to keep pursuing those things, like keep doing hard things, whether it's a workout with your family or an ultra or whatever. Keep challenging your body and your mind.
Yeah, I think that's one of the, that's always been kind of my thing, was to challenge myself physically. I've kind of fallen off now. I don't do it as much as I used to. Like I said, I got 3 ultras under my belt.
Yep.
I had a 33 miler, a 50 miler, and then I did a 70 miler. So it's like one of those things that like I've done in the past. I look back on it now and I'm like, how was I really doing that? And it was like one of those things where it's like, because people don't do it.
Right.
It's I think that there's a saying, I don't remember where I heard it, but it was like, you need to be an uncommon man amongst uncommon men. I'd say, and that's kind of like been my thing, like what makes you unique, because if you're just doing everything that everybody else has done, you're not different. You're just a sheep.
Right.
And that goes into those problems that we were talking about earlier. But
absolutely.
If there's anything else that you'd like to talk about, I think we pretty much hit it all. Amazing career, or amazing person for the things that you have done. And then also being able to handle the challenges that life has thrown at you and still come out on top. It's unheard of, and it's something to admire. So I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Thanks.